To make a cube, we could use the rectangle tool, convert it to curves and adjust the nodes, and then do this with every shape. But no, this is an unnecessary long process and there is a much easier way to go about it. Go to the View menu, go down to Guides and Axes Manager, and you will get this pop-up. You have a Show Grid option here, but this isn't great for our cube. Although it is possible, we have a much easier and faster way. In the Advanced section, go to this drop down and select Isometric. You will now see this diagonal grid. You can make any adjustments here. I want to decrease the spacing, or you can just type in your number. 25 will be a decent one for our project. You can have a play around, check out the divisions, which are good for more precise projects. We have this option of create plane set. You want to make sure this is checked, and then that will give you this extra tab. This should be kept open while you're working so you can move it around and place it where you're comfortable. So first we'll go through these three options here of planes. So if we draw a rectangle now, there's nothing new, it's just the same. But if we turn on snapping, and in the drop down make sure snap to grid is checked. You can also have a play around in the other settings. Let me know if you want a video on the snapping options, but for now we'll focus on snap to grid. So if we draw our square, we can see now it's following the grid. So this is the front side of our cube. Now if we select the side ping here, I'll change the colour so we can see better, then draw another square next to it. Remember to hold shift to make it equal square. Then finally the top plane. Hold Ctrl' to quickly toggle the grid on and off. And that's how easy it is to use the isometric grid to make our 3D project. Now delete this and we'll practice by making a desk. So Ctrl' to turn the grid on. Make sure we're in the top plane and draw the front of the desk. That looks about right. Now in the front plane we'll draw the side. And then in the side pane draw the front. We have these guys because snapping is on, so we can make sure our shapes fit with each other. Then back in the front plane, copy this shape by holding Ctrl and dragging it to the other end of the desk. I also want to have a little back part here, so go into side plane and add a little rectangle here. Now let's adjust the colours so we can see what's going on here. First we need to decide where the light source is coming from. This is so we know how to shade. I want my light to be coming in from here. So now I'll take a woody colour, bring this up to the top. So the top is going to be the lightest part, then the side slightly darker. Actually, I'll use the colour picker tool to take the top colour, then make that a bit darker. Then make the other side the same, but it's underneath the table, so we want it a bit darker again. Then this part the same, but a little darker. And then the front is the furthest away from the light source, so it should be the darkest. So now we have our overall basic shape of the desk done. I just want to make this part a bit longer. Now this is still looking a bit flat, so we want to add some thickness to it. Ctrl' to put the grid back on. And then get the rectangle tool, make sure snapping is on, and then just draw a rectangle right here. But actually I've done something wrong. Make sure that edit in plane is on, which allows you to edit within that plane. And that's at the front, so I want to make it the same colour as the front side. But I want these to be actually a bit darker. Hold shift to select both of them together. And this side I actually want to bring in a bit. And now you can see it actually looks like the side of the table. And then another rectangle for the front of the top of the desk. Make that the same colour as the front. And then in the front plane, draw the rest of the side. And make it the same colour as that side, but a little bit lighter so we can distinguish between. The colour wheel allows us to get a general colour, but if you want to be more precise, go in this drop down in the corner here and then go to sliders. Now it's much easier to lighten my colour without actually changing the colour too much. And then I want to do the same for the front. Okay, now we can add some drawers. I want to make this part a bit thicker actually. And then using the rectangle tool, just draw a simple draw shape. Copy and paste it for another draw. And then the last draw I want to be a bit bigger than the other two. But I want to have a gap between the drawers, so just pull that in a bit. And then copy it. And then adjust the bottom one as well. And snapping will allow us to make sure that those gaps are both the same sizes. Then I want the drawers to come around the side a bit, so making sure that you're in the front plane, draw another rectangle right here. Make sure it's the same size as the drawer. And then hold Control to copy it by the next drawer. Make sure it's aligned properly. And then the last drawer. And the sides should be a little bit darker. And now to make handles for the drawers, I'll use the rounded rectangle. Let me just change the colour so we can see that a bit better. And then I want it to be a bit smaller. And then if we convert it to curves, we can pull these sides up because we don't want those top two corners to be rounded. And then you can just remove the extra nodes and Alt and click to straighten that line. We want that to be the same colour as the gaps, but I actually wanted them to be a bit darker. So let's select that back shape. And then make the handle the same colour. Okay, now I'll just move my handle to the middle. And then hold Control to duplicate it to the next row. And then again for the next row. Okay, now we have our desk. But to go a bit further, we can make one of these drawers open. So select all the parts of the bottom drawer, hold Shift to unselect the extra pieces. And then if you hold Shift while dragging it out and making sure snapping is on, it moves according to how the drawer would actually open. Now let's make the top of this side here. Make it the same colour as the top. And now in the front plane, we can draw the other sides of our drawer. So this is 8 blocks wide. So we want to make sure that the sides are the same width as that. And then do the same for the other side. And now in the side plane, we'll draw the back. Select the front pieces and bring them all to the top. A shortcut for this is Control and the square bracket keys. Because the front of the drawers are coming around the side, we actually want the sides to go in a bit. So if you zoom in, you want to make sure that it is snapping with the shape and not the grid. Make that the same colour as the side. And then I'm just going to use the pen tool to make a line here, which I'm going to use as like a ruler measurement, so I can make sure I bring the other side in the same amount. Okay, now let's make these sides darker and reorder. And the front should be right at the top. So the back side should be a bit darker. Now the bottom, make sure you're in the top plane. And then just simply draw the bottom. Drag the layer down beneath the rest of the drawers. And now adjust the colours of all the sides so it looks right. Now let's fix this handle here. The handle is actually like a dip. So take the node tool, convert this to curves, and then I want to put a node exactly where these two shapes meet, and the snapping allows me to do that. So one node here and one node right across from it, and then the same on the other side. If the shape gets deselected from the snapping, you can just hover over it and it'll come back in. So when you're aligning your node, make sure you're not going above, but you want to go along here. And now control and click to get rid of this middle part. Now hold shift and select the handle and the front of the drawer. Go up here and click subtract. Now you can see the handle has been taken out. Control and click to get rid of this extra line. Now you want to make a little shape here, which will be the top. We want it to be the same shape as the handle, so we can hold control and take the handle off another drawer. Align it up right here. But you can see it is not snapping to that side because the top is still all one shape. So select that top piece, right click on it and go to geometry and then separate curves. Now they're two different layers and we can snap it. Control and click to get rid of these extra lines, and then we'll remove the fill as well. Then just add some random nodes to close this whole shape, just so that the fill goes the right way. It goes down instead of up. And then use the color picker tool to take the color of the top and then bring the layer down. Okay, that looks good. Now select the three sides and bring them down so they're underneath the rest of the desk. Just find the right position. Okay, and then the bottom part to take it down. And now if you hold shift and drag it, you can pull it in and out. I just want to push it in a little bit. Okay, so this side should actually be a little bit darker so we can distinguish. Oh, we got a little part missing here, so we'll make another back shape, make it smaller and bring it up to cover the back here so there's no gap. One more part we need to add. Go in the side plane and add a bar here. Make sure it's all the way up. Make that the same colour as the front, but a little bit darker so we can distinguish. Okay, now we want to add shading around the sides of the drawer. I want it to be the same size as the gap between the drawers, so I'm going to use my measurement again with the pen tool. Rotate it and put it right next to that side. And then in the front plane, make a rectangle, making sure we're aligning with that ruler. Make that the same colour as the handles and bring it down underneath the side of the drawer. Now we can delete our ruler. And now we have done our desk. But we still need to make some colour arrangements. It's not quite right. So I've got this cube that I made beforehand, which is like my woody colours. So I've got my front, top and side colours. And then I'll just use the colour picker tool and apply these colours. Make this part a bit darker because it's a bit underneath as well. And there we have our desk.